asked what now for the All Blacks without Beauden Barrett. We take a look at some of the superstars of the Rugby Championship. The Black Ferns finished third. We look at some of the young stars who stood out in England. And we relive a beautiful moment from Eden Park. So the Bledisloe Cup is ours again. It remains on the shores of Aotearoa in the cabinet, locked away for another year. Boys, we were there at Eden Park last night. The celebrations felt a little muted, I thought, actually, from the All Blacks. But what was your take on the game, on the occasion, on the whole thing? Obviously, we lose Beauden Barrett and Ethan de Groot for next week, which is interesting because we head over to Perth for that second Bledisloe Cup. What was your take on the match, Jeff?
I was in some ways a little bit underwhelmed in terms of the performance, but really stoked that we've put the Bledisloe Cup away. But I think I look at this game and I go, I'm not sure that we've moved a long way forward in terms of our performance. You know, once again, big lead, gave it away, then had to work really, really hard. Was it 28-26 with only moments to go, minutes to go in a game? Look, I was feeling pretty good, and then I watched South Africa play Argentina, and then I went, yeah, right, it's going to be really hard to win the Rugby Championship now. Yeah, well, let's have a look at the Rugby Championship points, where everyone sits at the moment, because the All Blacks, for a minute there, were on top, but South Africa have taken over after beating Argentina the way that they did. The only team to win back-to-back games now, South Africa. And there's still a few fixtures left in this game, Mills. When you look at that, you look at what's coming up for the two teams. Obviously, we travel to Perth, and then Twickenham Stadium finishes off South Africa and Argentina.
Twickenham.
Twickenham.
It's going to be an interesting one, Twickenham. But I mean, it's been a great championship so far, and it will come down to the last sort of test. Twickenham is an interesting one, but I'm like Jeff. I'm satisfied that we've won. You know, we've retained the Bledisloe Cup, and I guess it's just we're not doing those sort of those winning those moments for longer periods of time. They're winning here, then they're going again. I mean, the pleasing part is the end of it, that they've sort of come back and sort of tweaked a few bits there, Beaver.
Yeah, and I think the tweaked bits are probably the positive things to take out of it. You think about the high ball, that was obviously certainly the most talked about thing in New Zealand rugby for about a month, and that was a massive step forward. And even some of the guys, I think the impact from the bench, like little wins, I think, along the way. But yeah, absolutely, I guess this week's going to be the true test as far as if there's been a bigger step taken.
We talk about who's stood up, who's a superstar. Well, Cam Roigard last night was absolutely a superstar. He did not miss a beat. You wouldn't know he'd just come off how many weeks being injured. But there's a couple of names down there, Jeff Wilson. If you were to pick the next superstar that we're going to see on the poll there, have your shout, have your say. We'd love to hear from you. Who are you picking? Is Cam Roigard for you?
Yeah, look, there's no doubt the impact Cam had last night, but Sasha Feinberg-Mamazulu from South Africa was outstanding. And he showed glimpses before he went off injured in Wellington. And he is the future. And Tony Brown told me halfway through Super Rugby, go and look at some of the premiership stuff that he's doing and the way that he's playing. He is a superstar in the making. He's going to take their team to a level and play away. Some of the things he did last night overnight, and this is to Argentina, one of the best teams in the competition, it wasn't just about goal kicking. His footwork, his creativity, his vision, his finishing. He scored 37 points in this game, Beaver. 37 points in the most pivotal position in the game. He can play 12, 10. All of a sudden, I think they've opened the door. Some of this accuracy and work was world class. To me, as great as I think Cam Roigard's going to be, I think Sasha moves the needle for Springbok rugby.
Well, I think he moves as far as where they're taking it. And where they've been is always this great forward pack, and he's now going to have the luxury, Millsy, of having that great forward pack, but then having the licence, because he's proven that he's allowed to be the director, but also play with ambition. And some of that stuff, he's got the running, but his running and kicking options, he can do it all.
He's not your, for over the years, you've had your traditional sort of first fives coming out of South Africa where they're very composed, they kick the corners, they kick, high balls. He brings a different element because he's so aggressive and explosive off the mark in that position, and he can sort of take the line on, score tries, has the ability to kick. His execution is on point too. So he brings a different threat. Oh, man, he is going to be an absolute superstar.
He absolutely is, but there are other options for the superstars that we have for you there. And Cam Roigard, Dylan from Avondale has said he thinks that Cam Roigard is so far ahead of not just other halfbacks in New Zealand, but also around the world. Bev, would you say that's a fair comment?
Has he heard of Antoine Dupont?
Yeah.
Look, I know he's never
We haven't
come
seen
away
him
from
much
Europe.
at the moment,
We
though.
haven't seen him, but let's be honest. I mean, we all knew at his very peak when he
But
was
does
playing.
Cam Roygaard have a chance of being in that? Are we talking
Well, at the
years
stage
to
of
come?
his career, yes, because the Ponce had like more years behind him at that level. Cam, let's be honest, is only now getting the keys because he was injured last year. He's only just getting the All Black jersey now for number 9, and you think, I mean, everything's going to be judged on these three, probably their fortunes at the World Cup. And he will be central to all our dreams and hopes.
Yeah, well, he was central to, I think, hopes and dreams of what was going to happen last night when you watched him in action. Though.
The evidence is, how can you be out for that long and be so influential when you come back? And that's why, he's right up there. He's got the ability, given his age, to become a great, I mean, we've seen that also when they played against France in the end of the year tour, how big he was. He rises to those big sort of moments, those big games. He's only going to get better and better. And so, off the back of being away for a month with injury and the type of injury he sort of had, to be that influential last night and have a man of the match performance, he was outstanding.
I think he's an outstanding athlete, which I think helps to your point. He's come back in and he's recovered well. He looks fit, he looks fast, and he's clearly strong. So the time he's been away recovering from a leg injury, all of a sudden you've seen him get stronger and bigger, and his passing is world class as well. So all of the things that not necessarily we were missing, but the full package. We were getting bits with everybody. Everything is there. And his kicking game and his ability with his left foot, he'll get better and better with that with time. But I look at it and go, he certainly changes the way that we play and the impact it has on other players around him. We
haven't even mentioned Suoli'i, who is he is one to watch, of course. But we're going to move on. Let's talk about our reaction to the Bledisloe win. Yes, everyone's happy that the Bledisloe Cup belongs to us. It is staying here in New Zealand. But the game on the whole, after you compare it to South Africa, maybe we're not so sure. But the big talking points coming out of the game, if we have a look at how the rest of the world has responded, really unhappy with some of the refereeing decisions. What did you think of them? Was there a couple that stuck out for you, Stephen Donald? I'll start with you.
Oh, there's obviously a couple of big moments. The sin binning late was probably one that you thought, rough to be more than a penalty. If not, just play on. I thought that one, but I don't think it determined the outcome. Here it is here, getting over the ball. You could say that hand did go on the ground, so he's not supporting his own weight, technically. But for that to be a yellow card, Millsy, at the time, I thought we were a bit surprised.
I thought they were sort of hard done by in that one. There's another one where they took a maul down, they came back and penalised. Did it influence, momentum? But that wasn't what lost the Wallabies the game. You can't not go for line when you're that experienced like James O'Connor and missed them twice in a big match where you've got to win the first match to even have a chance to win the Bledisloe Cup back. And for a long period of time in that first half, they were under the pump. And and yes, they clawed their way back. But those refereeing decisions didn't lose them the game.
Yeah, I think if you look at the first and second half, there was sort of momentum both ways. The All Blacks, got some momentum early on, and Australia were getting penalised, and we got points as a result of that. And then the momentum shifted. The frustration I would have was that there were parts of the game where there seemed to be inconsistencies in terms of his interpretation at the breakdown, where all of a sudden we're seeing something that was penalised that we would see again that wasn't. Entries into breakdowns in terms of clean-outs, guys holding on to possession, guys going past the ball and getting on the ball. You were seeing multiple occasions. The interesting one was clearly he was getting information in his ear about a number of things. Harry Wilson's tackle technique was under scrutiny, twice got penalised for chop tackles, where his arms were going late, where he leads with his head. Well, that's every tackle on the goal line is exactly that. Now, because it happens in open play, do you decide, I can call it now? So when you get inconsistencies, it's very easy as a coach to find the moments that will impact your team and your performance. And every coach, when you're disappointed about a loss, you can find moments. If you lose or you win, you can find moments if you really look. So ultimately for me, I don't think the referee cost them the game, but it's certainly the momentum swung and they could argue there was some inconsistencies. OK, well, let's talk a little bit about some of the fantastic messages that we're getting through. Here's some questions that I want to throw to you guys. I start with Craig from Wellsford, and he said, can any of you see an obvious game plan out there for the All Blacks? Because he feels as though he can't. And I don't know, is he right, Mills?
I think if you dissect yesterday, in patches we were, right? When we're getting momentum, the flow on looks really good. We're looking like we want to go wide to wide. There's opportunities there. But if you compare that to the South African game, when you don't get momentum, and also in the second half where we weren't getting that, then we revert back to sort of kicking. And yesterday, last night, we won the air. And thank goodness we did, because it allowed us to then get on the front foot. In terms of answering this question, there's no obvious sort of game plan that sort of really sticks out and says, hey, this is the game we're trying to play. But you look at the Wallabies, they were denting the inside channels. That was clear and obvious, and they got some inroads going into this. So you could say, okay, well, they went there with a clear game plan that they'll try to hit the hard defence and then spread it wide. I think what the All Blacks have got at the moment is there's just so many different things they're sort of going to. One thing doesn't work, they'll go to another one. They're not persistent in staying within that fight and sort of progressing with what they're going into the game with, Beaver.
Yeah, I think you can see what they want, but when the pressure comes on, what they want and the reality of pressure, I think, takes them away from it. I think there's no hiding from the fact they want to play at speed and they want to play to width, and you saw it with some of their launches last night. But when the acid comes on, it's the easiest thing to go away from, and as Millie said, you start to go back to your kicking, and then it just becomes, at times, a little bit aimless.
For 20 minutes, the Wallabies stood back and watched the All Blacks come at them. And the moment you let the All Blacks play on top of you, you're in trouble. And we scored 20 points as a result of it. Pure and simple, their backline was going laterally, shadowing us to the outside and allowing our players to come at them. And the moment we get over the advantage line, that's when our ball players are so very, very good. That's what good teams don't allow us to do that. Mike Cron said at half-time, he said, we stopped watching the All Blacks playing and all of a sudden we started firing our own shots and starting running at them and getting our hands on the ball. That's what he talked about. So I look at it from this perspective. Is there a plan? My issue is a bit with what you're saying, Mills. I think we're actually trying to change our game plan for who we're playing against. We're coming up and think, we've got a competitive advantage here, so let's play to that. We'll turn that into our strength. But from week to week, we didn't do any of the really good stuff in the first 40 we did in Wellington against the Springboks. We were fast and moving it edge to edge, and we were attacking from deep. We went back to conservative play. We allowed them to all of a sudden disrupt us. For me, I don't think there is a one-off. We go to, you know what, there's our blueprint. Let's work off that. I think we're making too many adjustments, and I don't know we've got the skill set to execute it.
Well, OK, the skill set, that's one thing I would like to ask you, but what I will ask is this one, because I feel like Ian Small is onto something, because a lot of people are asking this question. We had no Scott Barrett. He's injured through shoulder. We think we might get him back in Perth, but Ardie Savea takes the reins as captain. Now, this has been a conversation that has been bubbling for a while now. So Ian has asked, should Ardie stay captain? Mills?
Well, Scott's the captain, right? So I think he's back this week. I think if I go to Jeff's point, I think because we've got so many different options that we're wanting to go to, our leadership group isn't aligned. They're not aligned in saying, OK, well, we're going to go into this and we might try and stick to that for the next 5 or so minutes. And then, in my mind, it looks like as if someone wants to change and others sort of don't. At the end of the day, it's got to come down to that one person to make that sort of decision. And that's got to be the captain. And last night there were patches there, hey, it did look great. But for me, I think Scott is the captain. I think you've got to keep going there. And the things that my Razor Robinson sort of talks about looking in the mirror and getting connected and that's the finer details that they need to really sort out. But I think, in my mind, it's Scott Barrett.
This leadership group seems huge. There seems to be quite a few people in that leadership group. Does it need to be smaller? Does the criteria for the leadership group need to change? What would you think, Ben?
Well, look, I'm a little bit sort of, dare I say, old school on it. Yeah, you got your captain, and he holds everyone to account off the field and leads the team and for face of it, all the rest of it. But on the field, your 9 and your 10 are dictating where you're going on the park. Like, they are your men. Like, they are the voice, and they are telling your captain, we're going to be doing this. And yeah, obviously, if you've got someone as strong and as big as a Richie McCaw, then he's going to come back and say, nah, let's do this. But for me, 9 and 10 Goldie, they're so important.
I'll just say this quickly. It's a conversation for Ardie Savea, Scott Barrett and Scott Robertson to have. Not for us to have, for me. It's for them to have the conversation about what's best for bringing this team forward. We're not inside the camp. I'm not inside that group. I don't know who's doing the most talking, who's delivering what. Look, I have no issue with Scott Barrett being the captain of the All Blacks or Ardie Savea, as long as they're aligned and they're all in it together. Yeah. And I think they can get there. And I think as much as we throw the speculation there, based on a team performance, seriously, it's about leaders. These guys are good enough and experienced enough. They've just got to agree at it themselves. The group come together.
All right. OK, well, I'm going to align us all. I'm going to send us to a break for a minute. You guys can have a glass of water.
We'll never agree on anything.
Into that. We'll always agree.
Okay,
Canterbury is the best. Anyway, it's neither here. We take a short break here on the breakdown, and when we come back, more great Canterbury gags from me. Yeah, good.
It's where my father played. It's where I've played.
Away goes a running clock.
that's where now my son plays, and I think for me it always holds that sacredness.
The national anthem of New Zealand, performed by All Blacks legend Ronnie Clark.
I already knew I was going to be emotional in the anthem, but then probably halfway through the English part of the anthem, I'm like, I know this voice. So I open my eyes and I look at the screen and I see my dad. I went, that's when I just started bawling my eyes out. He just said, welcome back. Just go out there and just play, just have fun. And so that's what I tried to do.
And Ronnie Clark sang the national anthem, and Caleb Clark scores the opening try.
Hoki Mai, welcome back to the breakdown, and that had to be one of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen in a rugby game. Actually, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house watching that, but the most beautiful moment was that hug at the end, that embrace between father and son. Could you imagine that? How would you have coped, Jeff Wilson?
How cool was that? Like, when you're playing in a team, you can rely on the players around you. He's on his own in front of, 47,000 at Eden Park, and of course, probably 500,000, 750,000 around the world that are watching. Like, so cool, so awesome. I've known Ronnie could sing for years. He was in the All Blacks when I first got selected. In those days, yes, court sessions were part of rugby. All right? Which means the guitar is out and people are singing songs and he is leading the way. So for me, there was no doubt, but I didn't know he could sing that well. That's about 30 years of practicing right there.
Hey, good luck.
But it was awesome, mate.
Good luck to the rest of the All Black fathers.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Who's next up?
Exactly.
That's a new prerequisite, right?
You might be up. You might be up when your son ends up there.
Can you sing?
Oh, yeah, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, we've had the odd night out, later night at
Actually,
karaoke
he's very
in Wellington.
good at Benny and the Jets.
Oh,
and I don't know if enough people...
Oh, there we go. National anthem in Perth, mate.
Yeah, here we go.
I want to see that.
Look out. Now, speaking of Perth, we move on to the second Bledisloe test, which is in Perth, and now we've lost Beauden Barrett, we've lost Ethan de Groot, but the big question is who is going to be your first five? There's no one being brought into the squad. Stephen Donald, Ruben Love has been suggested, and are you okay?
Look, I think it's clear and obvious who your 10 is. I don't even know why it's actually a text topic, to be fair. It's Damien McKenzie, who played a very controlling, high-pressure game last night. He goal-kicked well. He's our best pressure goal kicker in the country. He's proven that time and time again. And, he starts at 10 to build on what he did yesterday and obviously the chance he had last year. And then Ruben Love is an obvious bench man because he ticks every box that Damien does from the bench as far as 10 and 15 cover.
There are a lot of texts here saying that they'd like to see Ruben Love start at 10, something because of his speed and what he offers in regards to that. Are you comfortable with Ruben Love if he was to step in there, or you not see it?
Now's not the time to bring... Ruben hasn't had much because he's been playing at fullback for Wellington as well. I think Damien did an excellent job last night. I think his control, even when he's had his opportunities coming off the bench and starting at fullback, he looks energetic. And his partnership with Roy Gay last night, just started to really get a little bit of flow back into it. But I'm with Beaver. It's a Damien McKenzie for me. Ruben will fit the gap that Damien has sort of left in that sort of bench sort of spot. But he's your 10.
He's your 10. Is he your 10?
Yeah, it's absolutely my 10. This isn't a conversation for me. I would be shocked if it's not Damien McKenzie. Here's the guy who's had the keys to the car before. The fact that if it came down to it and it was a big game in the future, if we're talking about a World Cup final, semi-final, he'd be the guy you would go to. I mean, like you say, pressure goal kicking, massive when you start talking about test matches that are on the line. So for me, it's not a conversation. What it is, though, is a great opportunity for Ruben Love, for whatever impact he might have on the game, whether it's at 10 late or whether it's at fullback. Also interested, Caleb Clark went off. Now, I hope he's okay, but all of a sudden that conversation about who's fit and available to play on the wing, are you going to go straight back to your Rico Ioane if you need to go that way? I'll tell you one player who should be playing is Leroy Carter. Really good, really enjoyed what he did. So I think the conversations, the flow-on effects, but in regards to our two guys, I am surprised they're not taking someone across just in case something happens during the training week. I mean, who else could possibly cover 10? Mind you, hold on, who was on the show last year and saying that Cam Roigard could play 10? Isaac Boss it was, kept telling us he's the first five. He's the first five, Bossy.
I'll second it.
I want to ask...
He'll second it as well. Oh, dear.
Akash from Auckland wants to ask about Quinn Tupaia. Also, Adam from Northland said, Beaver, you can come and play for the Taniwha anytime, and they have an undersized jersey waiting for you.
Thanks, Adam.
But Tupaia should be in at 12. The speed and physicality that he brings, Whainganuku off the bench.
Oh, I thought Quinn was absolutely brilliant last night, considering what he got thrown into. Obviously, I've always considered Quinn an outstanding, powerful number 12. But last night he went on the wing, marking, I think it was Toole out there, who's no slouch, and he got busy. He came in, he essentially played like a midfielder when we had the ball, but considering where he was thrown into it, I thought he did a great job, impact-wise, Goldie.
There was a 3-on-2 he missed. There was a 3-on. The only blemish on his whole game was he missed a 3-on-2 where we needed to score a try. You know, we needed to see him shift the ball. We were in their 22. We had numbers on the outside, and he took it to the line. And it was a case where it was a missed opportunity. That was the only thing out of his game that I could fault. The rest of it was really, really good. I was really impressed because he wouldn't have been anticipating that. I don't know how much time he would have spent, but like you say, he found a way to get himself involved in the game.
I think that played a perfect role. He played a perfect role because of the fact that there's no real sort of expectation to try and run the game when you come off the bench like that. He just goes out there, brings a lot of energy, his mind's clear, he'll get involved, and it suited exactly where we were in that sort of predicament in the game. So, and he's had a wonderful season. That's the sort of stuff he done in Super Rugby, and to get yourself freed up and, you know, get your hands on the ball, that's exactly what we needed off the bench.
Afternoon footy, it was great. It was great to have back, and then it just carried on throughout the night if you were up for it. You had the Black Ferns in action, you had the final, and then, of course, you had Argentina and South Africa over in Durban. Now, it was a great game for a lot of people, but there's just sometimes you have these little moments. I personally never have I had any? I might be having one right now, but Cheslin Colby just had this little situation, just a minor brain... I don't know what happened there. Jeff Wilson, you were watching it live.
I was watching this live in the middle of the night, and the moment he's drop-kicked that, I said to myself, the ball's live. So wherever that ball's gone, it's live. And what does he do? He kicks it back into the field of play. Argentina are onside, and I'll just pick this up. And there'll be a try. Thanks very much, under the bar.
Is that the easiest try you've ever scored if you're Argentina like this?
100%. But the moment he hit the ground, I said, I hope that's not in the field of play. Like, it was almost everyone was in disbelief too. Even the commentators, like, I know what's happened, but surely they're not going to allow this to stand.
It was one of the great brain explosions, and it got us thinking, have there been more? And turns out there has been.
It's a tough kick into the breeze and hits the post. It goes into the end goal, and now it's slapped.
Is that Quentin Strange hitting the ball dead?
Hit intentionally dead. So it'll be a yellow card and a penalty try? Yep. And a yellow card.
The most incredible finish you could ever have imagined.
Here's Downshee again, chased down by Barrett. And Bowden Barrett may well have been the only player who could have done that. Now a loose pass. Oh, the All Blacks have fired it away, and in they go. Willie LaRue scores under the posts.
Dunning looking for a three-pointer. It's there. Well, every time you don't want the goal to go over, and it's gone over.
Oh my God, sorry. He's apologising for kicking a drop goal.
Well, the Australians given a bit of a hurry up here, but this will go out. And all they'll have to do is win the line out and hang on to it for a minute, even less. He's taken too long. He's taken too long. That is massive. This is a sensation. If the All Blacks get out of this, can you imagine?
Nick Minute.
Akira Ioane. Jordan goes on his own, gets the ball away, and Rory Barrett wins it for New Zealand.
Jones, Andrew looking for the equaliser. Goulet almost charging down, but he put the pressure on. That was important. And now Campese and Evans. Oh, this is terrible stuff. It's a try. Look at this. You don't do this on your own line. You don't wear a green and gold jersey to pull out that sort of Mickey Mouse rugby.
OK, so be honest, boys. When the suggestion was that we would play some of the great brain explosions in rugby, did anyone panic that they might be in
Well, I was slipping under the desk thinking, how many more to go before I'm going to show up here? So, no, I was quite relieved, actually.
Quite relieved. Quite a good selection there. Do you remember all of those?
Yeah, I do remember all of them. Yeah, absolutely. When you sit back and you think about some of them, and the heat of the moment, the drop goal one, Dunnington was the one, because they needed a try. That was what was so stupid about that, is all of a sudden, randomly, at the back end of the game, he's gone, I'll just kick a drop goal when they're trying to score a try to win. Like, that's why everyone's looking at him. What are you doing, man? That's as bad as it gets.
Did you have a favourite?
That Campese one, I didn't actually know about that.
That cost them the Lions series,
right?
I
did not realise in the comments after as well. I mean,
Mickey Mouse, have you used that in the commentary yet?
That's something to write down. Put in your book. Use that next time. Right, so the Women's Rugby World Cup has finished. The Black Ferns, for the final time, we saw in action last night. Let's have a look.
Some days in sporting history hit differently. Some moments become movements, and some occasions change the game for good. For the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup final. Goody rips it, Malteser. She's got Hogan Rochester, takes the ball into contact, gets it away. For Asia Hogan Rochester scores the opening try for Canada. So England have a penalty, a free shot if you like. And who's the person to take it? But Ellie Kilduff. Little bit of footwork, goes to around one, then two. Ellie Kilduff lines up the alley-up. Jahan somewhere around those fringes, try given. Controlled in the back, they've got another advantage. Out it comes for Hunt. England at their destructive dead with Alex Matthews. The second try in the final, and perhaps the one that might see them home. It is their crowning achievement. England are the champions.
To see a sellout Twickenham, I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime. To win the World Cup on a home ground, just fantastic.
I'm the old bugger that's been going for 30 years, and you get some and you don't get some, you know, but I'm just so pleased that these girls have realised their potential. This has been a very good team for a long time, and they're a phenomenal group.
The way that I think women's rugby this whole tournament, so proud to be involved in, to see the growth, the support for every single team, but yeah, truly special.
Their second World Cup final win after 7 World Cup finals. New Zealand did a good job of stopping them for quite some time, so congratulations must go to England. And the Black Ferns, of course, finishing up in third spot. They do bring home a medal. I saw on their social media they're describing it as a rosé-coloured medal, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But some of the standouts for them were obviously Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe. Could we not? That might be her last time in the black jersey. And then there was Georgia Miller, and the official breakthrough player of the year was Braxton Sorensen McGee. Let's have a look at some of her highlights and then take a quick break.
Player of the year goes to 18-year-old Braxton Sorensen McGee of New Zealand.
The teenager, oh, she's special, she's different, she's deadly.
And now the man crossfield kick, open space for Braxton Sorensen McGee, the 18-year-old wonder kid.
Oh, she's going to do it again! Another brace for Braxton!
McGee, who's not seeing much of the ball, but she doesn't need to see much of the ball to continue to add to her score sheet.
Welcome back to the breakdown. So the MPC, another great weekend of it. It has been a sensational competition this time round. There's been some big scores on the board, some exciting games. A drawn up one today. Anyway, let's have a look at the ladder and where everyone sits. Canterbury and Otago. Look at that, 2 points for the draw. Did you know that, Jeff Wilson?
Yeah, I knew that.
Did you?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Nah, because look who's on top. But anyway, that's great. And there's plenty more rugby still to come here on Sky Sport, your home of rugby. And if we have a look there, feet on the bottom there, Auckland. Okay, lot to break down there for Auckland. Anyway, there is plenty of rugby coming up over the next week. The most exciting games for you boys, I mean, the first one we need to talk about is next week, Bledisloe 2 in Perth. It's a 10 p.m. kickoff here on Sky Sport. We will have you covered, so make sure you join us for that. What are your predictions? What do the All Blacks need to do to leave us feeling a little bit more satisfied with this season? If they take, I mean, what do you need to see from them?
The Aussies are going to be a lot better. Don't get us wrong. They are going to be a lot more sharper. They're back at home. I'd like to see that momentum that they have, in the first half, they carry that on a bit more, in the longer periods of time. Don't get to sort of that middle part, and also coming out of the break. That's when they've just been it almost looks a little bit sluggish. So a more complete performance. It's been in patches, but I just want to win those moments for a longer period of time, Beaver.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that, it's winning back-to-back games. Like, I think it's a very important result this game. I mean, obviously it keeps us in the hunt for the championship, depending on what happens at Twickenham. But being able to win 2 in a row, it's huge.
And I think one thing, we don't want to be coming back and going, looking ourselves in the mirror again after a loss. I mean, we're kind of a little bit sick of hearing that. I think the consistency in winning and sort of not having to touch on the emotional side, we're dipping too much into that in my mind. We should be out there and not sort of using that as an advantage point, to try and get us up. It should be a collective effort that we're all aligned with.
I just don't want to hear any excuses for a performance that's under par. The fact, we haven't got Beauden Barrett this week, or this, or we haven't got this. Ultimately, it's about stepping forward and going better and being better. Will Skelton's going to be available. Rob Valentini looks as though he's going to be available for the Wallabies, so they will be better and they will be stronger up front, and they were still good up front in this game. So for me, it is pure and simply about getting a second performance in a row from them, but we have to be better over longer periods of time in a test match. Take control of it, and if we are in control, be ruthless about how we finish a team off and take them right out of the game. We have been allowing teams to come back to us. This is another pivotal moment. 5 tests to go in this season? This will be the first step in those 5 about getting some momentum as we start to go on tour.
South Africa against Argentina. That's 1 a.m. at Twickenham. You talk about ruthless. They've been ruthless in the last 2 games now. They're back-to-back wins for them. Who are you picking in that one?
Oh, South Africa all the way. Mind you, who knows? He could pick anybody, knowing Rusty. Can you trust him?
You don't. Well, I like him. I think he's great. I think he's very exciting. Who are you picking in that one? South Africa?
No, I'm on the Argies. We need them.
Come on, the Argies. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Breakdown. We'll have you covered for all your rugby this week.